Hello everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and today we're here with the 2024 Lexus RX 500h F Sport Performance, the brand's new flagship luxury crossover in their lineup. And the Lexus RX has been a staple mate for over the past 20 years for a comfortable, luxurious, and reliable choice in this mid-sized crossover segment, especially for this luxury segment here. And Lexus wants to kind of spice up the RX nameplate a little bit more than just adding an F Sport styling package. We actually have some true F Sport stuff going on in this performance version of the RX. This is also a flagship RX now, and it's coming in at around $73,000 as we see it right here in this gorgeous copper crest paint. So what makes this RX 500h F Sport Performance super unique? We're gonna go dive into that in this video, take a full tour of this all new generation Lexus RX and see how it compares to some really top competitors in this segment from both the Germans as well as other Japanese rival brands. So it definitely does carve a unique standpoint out for itself. Let's go dive in. So what do we have going on under the hood of this Lexus RX 500h F Sport Performance? Well, it is a pretty potent powertrain, I have to say. Thankfully, we have some gas hood struts here. So under the hood, we have a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is one of the first applications of that in an RX in terms of a hybrid. Now, this is paired with a hybrid battery, of course, and 2 additional electric motors. And this uses Lexus's direct 4 all-wheel drive system, which means the rear axle is powered by an electric motor only. It's a pretty potent electric motor. I believe it's 80 kilowatts of power out there. And this is a pretty dynamic all-wheel drive system. The other electric motor is mounted in the front end of the powertrain, and this gas engine is powering the front wheels only, though it can charge the battery up. Combined system output is pretty strong, around 366 horsepower and around 406 pound-feet of torque. And honestly, it feels pretty potent. We have really strong power delivery, and fuel economy is okay, though when you start comparing it to other things in the segment, it's outstanding. Around on the highway, you're gonna see around 28 miles per gallon, which is pretty impressive. And I have been able to get around those numbers, though you would think something for a hybrid, you would see a little bit higher MPG, though you have to remember this is an F Sport Performance model. If you want a more actual high MPG hybrid, you're gonna either wanna go for the plug-in hybrid RX or the RX 350h. Now, another interesting thing is that there's no CVT or eCVT here. We actually have a 6-speed automatic gearbox that's connected to this 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and that's going to be going with the front wheels. This is a pretty cool powertrain for the Lexus RX lineup. Hopefully it will be reliable as all RX powertrains have been in the past, so that's something that we'll definitely see down the road, and especially at this high-end price point over $70,000, it would be nice to see something a little bit more powerful if Lexus really want to go for a performance edge. Though for the RX, this is a pretty cool and unique powertrain, and I think RX buyers will really appreciate this. What are we looking at? Well, as it is an F Sport Performance, we are getting a full F Sport body kit, but I think you have to stare at this gorgeous copper crest color Lexus is now kind of spreading throughout their lineup. It really is a fantastic color, and it really demands a lot of looks. I've been seeing people staring at this thing on the highway and just driving around little towns and villages. People look at it and people will ask you, what is this color? Because it is gorgeous. Now, as we do have the F Sport Performance package, we are seeing a pretty nice body kit out here. You can see everything is blacked out, and that is definitely coming on this front end with this new redesign, kind of spindle face design language Lexus is going with. And there's a lot of stuff we can see out here. So we can see this blacked out grille design we have for this RX F Sport Performance. We also are getting this optional triple beam LED headlights on this particular RX 500 F Sport Performance. You can see those 3 beams right there. This is an optional package and not standard. We also have our signature Lexus LED daytime running light beam right down there. We also are having headlight washers on this particular one, which comes with this upgraded headlight package. Also to note down here, we do have fog lights, and you can also see a little bit of an extra light in there. That is your cornering lights. When you turn the wheel, that light will activate to provide some additional visibility at night, and I have to say they are very bright and they work really well. I also really like this kind of dynamic shape Lexus went with this lower bumper area here. We had this kind of spindle style pattern in this lower front fascia with these side vents that really do a nice job of directing air on the side of the vehicle, and they kind of exit in these very slim air curtain exit vents right here, which are really nice and sleek integrated into the side of the bumper. Now, while we are outside, we have to talk about another piece of this F Sport Performance package other than the F Sport badge you can find right here. It is these massive 21-inch wheels here that are finished in matte black, and you can kind of see how dirty they have gotten over this past week with a little bit of rain in our forecast and a little bit of what appears to be kind of brake dust around the interior of the wheel. So these things are probably going to want to be cleaned every now and then. Otherwise, I think the wheel design is really fantastic, and I love the matte black finish on them, especially when they are clean. We also have some other unique stuff going on over here. We have massive brake calipers up front here that are painted black with the Lexus badge on it. They are F-Sport specific calipers, and we also have huge brake rotors as well. They're over 15 inches up front, which is really going to help you with that stopping power, and they're able to fit in these wheels because they are, of course, 21 inches and they're huge. Now, what I'm not too particularly fond of are these Bridgestone tires. These are Bridgestone Alenza Sport all-season tires, and I would definitely go to say that these tires are a little bit more on the comfort side of being focused for a tire. They're probably going to be good in the rain and all season situations, as that's what they're designed for. Though for performance and I would say grip situations, I'm not too particularly fond of these tires. Though behind all of this is an adaptive variable suspension, which we'll get to in our driving impressions, as well as a rear steering system. Now, coming to the rear end of the RX, we can see Lexus's new light bar style design. I think that looks quite tasteful. If you come up to the rear taillight, you can kind of see there's a whole bunch of little L's going on in that taillight that kind of fade out into the distance. Really nice design touch there. We also have our reversing lights mounted back up here as well, and a very slim Lexus badge spelled out back here. No particular Lexus logo. Also back here, we have a little bit of some sporty stuff going on, and unfortunately, it's just with a whole bunch of fake vents. So out here, you can see we have a little bit of a fender flare, actually, which is kind of cool, a little touch in that copper color. There is some fake ventage going on the side here, but it does dynamically blend into the body shape, which is a cool touch. It's a little bit more fake vintage going on down here, but this kind of takes the place of the exhaust ports as they are hidden underneath the vehicle back here. You know, Lexus wants to keep things clean, as this is a hybrid at the end of the day, and I guess got people used to no exhaust tips in the future when everything goes electric and hybrid and plug-in hybrid. Okay guys, let's go have a look at the rear trunk space of the RX, and this is a particular point of contention here because we all used to remember there was the Lexus RXL, which was, in my personal opinion, a failure from Lexus because it was just such a small increase of space back there that the third row was completely pointless. Thankfully for this new model year, we don't have a third row option that is dedicated to the Lexus TX. But that means that this space back here is pretty big now and just dedicated to cargo room. So let's go take a look at this rear trunk. Of course, you can kick to open it if you want to, though I'm gonna just press our key fob here, hold, and open it up there. Nice, very quick operating power tailgate. And of course, we have that feature where you are able to adjust the tailgate by holding down the button to set it at a different level, which is good for some people who may not be as tall as I am and cannot reach those buttons all the time. But this does allow you to kind of look to see how much space we have in here. And honestly, it's huge. A really wide opening, very tall opening as well. Now, you are not going to have any room underneath here because we do actually have a spare tire in this particular RX, which is a crazy feature to see on a modern vehicle these days. And especially with a hybrid system, I'm really impressed that Lexus was able to even fit this in the vehicle. So big points to them. I really like these brushed metal kick plates here, or kind of like scuff plates over here. They look quite nice. We also can see one of our speakers here for our Mark Levinson audio system. We also have a cargo cover divider up here and a little bit of a Lexus first aid kit mounted on the side here. I believe it is velcroed on there as well, which is a nice touch. Some mounting points throughout the rear as well, and I have to say again, really dynamic and large amount of use of space back here, so I'm impressed with Lexus on that front. We also have power folding second row seats, which you can also do from the infotainment system as well, which is a really nice touch. So all you have to do is press these two buttons here and your seats should fold down pretty easily, just like that. Really like this nice touch there from Lexus. And if you want to pull them back up, you just press these two buttons again and they will fold right back up for you. And the best part about it is you don't have to hold the buttons. They will just kind of do it by themselves and fold back up. And of course, you can remove this cargo divider if it is going to be taking up some space for you, if you want to open up this interior room. Let's go take a tour of these rear seats. Now on our driver's side, we can also see we have our fuel filler cap here, as this is the only cap we have. It's not a plug-in hybrid, it's just a regular hybrid. You do actually need to press a button inside to unlock it though. Requires 93. That's one thing to note here. You do need premium fuel in this 508H F Sport Performance. Now, getting to our rear seating area, again, we have those kind of touch style door handles here. We don't pull the door handle, we just press the little touchpad. We also have a locking capability on all four doors, which is a nice luxury touch. opening the door, we actually have a pretty wide opening, which I quite like. And you can just see how massive this opening is to get in the rear of the RX. They really did think about passengers getting back here and being comfortable, because you do have plenty of a space. On the door panels here, we have a really nice blend of materials. You have this micro suede material with our Mark Levinson speakers back here, locking and unlocking capability from the rear seats, a huge little felt line cubby up here, pretty large lower storage down here as well. And we also have those electronic door handles that you can pull if you do need to in an emergency to unlock the door, but otherwise you just press the little button to open the door for you. On the seating area as well, we can see we have these little buttons here which actually fold the seats down flat, but they also can allow you to recline the rear seat. So if I press this button back here, you can see your seat will provide you with a nice recline. So that's a really nice function that I do like Lexus is offering you guys. Okay guys, getting inside of the back of the RX, it's a little bit high off the ground though, very wide of an opening here to get in and out, which I do quite like. Shutting the doors, nice solid thunk there, and this is how you open them really quickly. Very soft and subtle operation, no kind of actuations or anything you hear. Just got that. And you can see a little bit of the ambient lighting shining down here from underneath the door. You can kind of see it reflecting on my hand underneath here. Pretty nice. And we are in the back of the RX 500H. And honestly, I have a lot of room back here. Plenty of leg room. We also have a nice little storage cubby back here, as well as behind the passenger. Lots of knee room as well. I can kind of stretch out and just relax a little bit. And I have to say, these rear seats are very comfortable. Very huge seat bottoms, which provides a lot of space, as well as a lot of thigh support, which a lot of seats lack in my personal opinion. I also really like this kind of micro suede insert we get on these F Sport seats here. We have a center console, also wrapped in that same leather. Pretty funky operation here, but we do have a little bit of a storage cubby back here, as well as two cup holders that do kind of slowly pop out for you. Very German-like in this operation, very unusual, but they're pretty big and they do offer a good amount of cup holder area support. Now, also back here, you can truly sit 3 passengers. Sitting in the center area, I have plenty of space actually, and you could genuinely fit 2 adults back here next to you if you're sitting in the center. There's a little bit of a floor hump, but it's really not that big compared to some other vehicles, so I actually do quite appreciate that. Back here you can also see we have 2 air vents, as well as 2 USB-C ports which are illuminated at night. We also have ventilated second row seats, heated second row seats, and our own kind of climate controls to change our temperature. So a lot of nice luxurious options happening in the back of this Lexus RX. And headroom back here also is not an issue. We have this micro suede headliner back here. I can fully rest my head completely back here, so I really have no issues in terms of headroom. That's just, I would say, maybe an inch or two of headroom. I'm 6 feet tall, and I think I feel pretty comfortable. You can also recline the seat a little bit further back if you do need a little bit more headroom, and I think it really should not be a problem back here whatsoever. Okay guys, same situation getting into the front seats. We just press our electronic door handles to unlock them right here. And again, same nice materials we find on the door panels here are micro suede, a mix of leathers and soft touch plastics all around. Even down here is a soft touch plastic, not a hard scratchy plastic, something Mercedes actually needs to learn from. We have even more space over here for some cup holders and stuff. Aluminum side sill F Sport plate here. We don't have all weather floor mats on this one, and it's been a little bit rainy, so you can see how dirty they can get. But these are nice F Sport carpet mats with aluminum pedals with an absolutely massive dead pedal right there. And you can see all of the different supports and power systems we have for our seats, but we only have a 2-way lumbar, no massage as well. I do really like these front F Sport seats. They're really sporty, feel very supportive, though there's no side bolsters and support. So if you're a little bit on the wider side of a person, these may be a little bit tight for you. And we also have the F Sport logo embossed into the headrest right there. So let's hop inside, get out of the rain real quick. Closing up the door, same nice solid thunk we get up front, same way to open out back, same way to open the doors as well with that electronic release. And let's power up this RX for you guys. We have a power button up here on the dash, and it comes to life. A whole bunch of different animations going on all across this interior to let you know that this vehicle is ready and on. So what are we looking at here? So there's a few options that I do want to point out before we kind of get into this review of this interior here. So we have the upgraded 14-inch Lexus infotainment system. This is bundled with the Mark Levinson audio system. It's almost a $3,000 upgrade package. We also have another upgrade package which gives us parking assist right here, as well as our panoramic surround view monitor, which is a little bit funky in this particular view, but when you put it into reverse and drive, you do get a pretty good surround view system. You can also make it automatically turn on when you come up to like a intersection where you need some visibility. And I really like the animations it gives you when you're turning. pretty dynamic. It kind of paints the road underneath you as well, which I think looks really nice. You also get a very nice and comprehensive reversing camera as well. That's going to help you get into some sticky situations, as well as a really good parking sensor system. Over our steering wheel here, we have a pretty nice leather wrapped steering wheel. Good supports. I love this perforated side area on it. We have an F Sport badge down here. And while I do like this steering wheel, I have some little bit similar complaints I had to when I drove the Lexus RZ that featured this steering wheel. And yes, it's very nice. We have some nice paddle shifters back here, which don't feel cheap, which I do like. But my issue is with these buttons here. And you can notice that they're not labeled whatsoever. And they don't come up in this screen here. So when I rub my finger on them, they're actually all haptic buttons. All these buttons are, and you have to look in the heads-up display up there if you want to know what the buttons actually do. So if I kind of just drag my finger around them, you can see in the heads-up display there, their actual action is coming up there. So this, our left-hand side is for our forward and reversing, as well as some phone controls. I press this button down here, it's going to expand it to our music controls as well. On the right-hand side here, you can see, also missed the volume there. On our right-hand side, we have our controls for our adaptive safety system. So right here is our control we're going to have for our cruise control right there. Sure if that's coming off the camera, so that can turn the adaptive cruise on and off. We also have our lane tracing assist on and change our following distances, as well as increase our speed and drive modes. If I press this button down here, it's then going to give you controls to control your heads-up display to kind of change the different positions and stuff. It's an interesting system. I don't particularly hate it, but it definitely takes something to get used to, especially if you're used to looking at this display and not used to using a heads-up display when these are required to have the heads-up display to make them work, which is something pretty interesting. And on that note, this screen over here is honestly just pretty redundant in that aspect. It really just is a display of what's happening, I guess, for your speed, and just a whole bunch of different icons and stuff. It does change when you put it into the sport mode to make it a little bit sportier looking, but that's honestly about it in terms of the changes that's going to be happening in this display. I do like this kind of brushed aluminum trim on this center console. It's a very unique look. You also find it on the dash up here. It almost has like this dark aluminum effect to it, which is kind of cool. The shifter is a little bit confusing too. To pop it into drive, you have to go left down, reverse is left up, neutral is a kind of middle press, and then if you want to go to manual, you have to be in drive, and you can pop it down to manual. But then to put it back into drive, you have to go left back. A little bit funky, and park is a button right there, and it will glow blue for you. The little storage cubby up here, 2 USB-C ports and a wireless charger mat down here, USB-C and a USB-A port. So there's a lot of charging solutions in the Lexus RX, so I do really appreciate that. And again, the materials on here are so diverse and nice. I think it's a good use of the materials. I just wish there was another option than black for this exterior color. You can only get black with this copper Crest exterior color. It's a nice interior, but I know they have nicer color options you can get on the RX. I love all the use of the soft touch plastics. These are not leather up here, but I do like the plastic. It's soft touch. It doesn't feel hard or scratchy. Pretty decent side glove box. It is felt lined. And then there's this infotainment screen, and oh boy, I have some interesting thoughts on this infotainment screen. You can see Lexus blended in the climate controls into the infotainment screen, which are always here. You have some hard buttons here. So if I turn on our climate system, you have these hard physical controls for our temperature dials, which are nice. Honestly, I do feel like they're a little bit cheap feeling. They kind of feel a little plasticky, and they don't feel like they're going to break off, but they don't feel like other buttons in the interior of the RX. So I guess they can improve the quality of that if I'm going to pick on something here. Otherwise, the screen is absolutely massive, and generally I think it's easy-ish to use, other than hopping through some menus, which is just a little bit confusing. We do have this quick access panel for frequently used things. You can see here that will kind of populate for frequently used drive modes or some safety system stuff. We also have a whole bunch of driver assist systems that are all activated right now, which are really genuinely fantastic. We'll get to that in the driving review there. We also have some cool automatic modes for our heated steering wheel, cooled, and heated seats. So we'll kind of choose which to put on depending on the temperature, which I think is pretty cool. And then comes the just too many menus, I think, of this infotainment system. So we have our settings panel here, which there's stuff buried all over the place. I'm going to be completely honest. Like if I want to change my ambient lighting in here, I have to go to vehicle customize, illumination, and then I can go to change my ambient lighting color. And you can only do it while you're parked. The second you put this thing into drive, it locks out this screen. And you can't change a whole bunch of stuff actually while you're in drive. And you actually have to be in park, not even at a stop, in park to change a lot of these systems in the vehicle, which I understand is a safety thing, but I think ambient lighting color is something that you can do on the fly that every other manufacturer lets you do. Driver profiles and our vehicle settings here. We do have a lot of things we can go through. So this vehicle does have adaptive steering, suspension, powertrain, as well as in air conditioning settings. You have a custom mode, which I do quite like. You can do sport and eco mode as well. So sport mode will always have the engine on, giving you all of that power at all times. I usually been driving in eco to try to squeeze as much fuel economy as I can out of this vehicle. You can also fold the seats down, rear seats down with this button here. So if I press fold all, it should fold all the rear seats down, which is a pretty cool touch. Dependent on these seats being in the good position where they can actually fold down. I don't think it's going to do it right now. Yeah, it's going to hit the seats there, but this one looks like it was able to do it, and then it'll just fold back up for you and beep until it can do it. But I'm just going to raise them all back up again. Other than that, I just think there's just too many menus sometimes to hop through this infotainment system, which can be a little bit confusing, and that lack of ability to kind of change a lot of things while you're on the road, I think is a little bit just annoying. I found that issue when I was driving the Lexus RZ over this past summer, and it was just a little bit annoying. I wish Lexus was able to change that down the road, but I don't think it's going to change. We also have a digital rear view camera here, and you can clean it by using your rear view wiper back there. It should kind of see it wipe right there if it gets a little dirty in the rain. There is a lot of adjustment on this camera as well, which I do quite like. Some vehicles don't offer enough adjustment, I would say. We also have some touch controls up here for our lighting elements. We can have a few controls for our panoramic glass roof, and we have a nice ultra suede lined roof liner, as well as our mirrors and visors up here. Very bright LED light over here, and a nice decent sized mirror. I do like that as well. Otherwise, guys, this is a quick tour of the interior of this new RX, and overall I think it's a well built space generally. Nice blend of materials. It looks visually quite nice, and it's a nice new unique look for the Lexus brand. Are there some weird technological quirks in here? Yes, I think they've done a great job eliminating that horrible touchpad they used to have and making a nice new infotainment system, though I think there's some things in this infotainment system that are just too many menus to hop through to get to. Even though there is this kind of frequently used screen, it doesn't do frequently used stuff for everything. Otherwise, I think it's okay. Some improvements will definitely be made down the roads, and let's go take this thing on a drive. Now, this RX F-Sport Performance has a few interesting features that are actually unique to the F-Sport Performance moniker, and that's particularly the rear wheel steering, which is going to turn the rear wheels in a slight degree angle into an opposite direction, some low speed situations to give you better of a turning radius, and in higher speed cornering as well as highway just changing lane situations, it'll actually turn the wheels in the same direction as the front wheels to give you a little bit more stability in that respect. Point. So as we can see there, it's pretty potent off the line, and it really does get you up to speed quite quickly. 60 miles per hour happens around the 5 to 6 second range, which is not bad. A little bit of some traction loss from the front wheels there, as all of that torque from that turbocharged 4-cylinder is going to those front wheels only, so that rear end is only working off of that pretty potent electric motor. But you know, the F-Sport Performance moniker in this thing is really honestly, in my opinion, a lot of marketing material. This isn't really a performance-driven vehicle at the end of the day. You know, I have to give it strong points for the steering. I think they did a really good job with this steering system. It's direct, but good weight and good light. So honestly, it's a pretty good point in this. I think the rear wheel steering is actually aiding that in this particular vehicle, as well as the torque vectoring direct 4 all-wheel drive system. You also have a custom drive mode as well. But the suspension setup, even with these adaptive dampers, is just still purely just comfort feeling and comfort focus. It still feels more like a plush luxury SUV, even in the stiffer suspension setting. And even in eco and normal mode, I have to say, it just does what I think a Lexus RX should do. It has good body control. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of lean or roll, but it's still very soft in its application, and it does a good job of balancing that all the body movements, while also giving you a very comfortable and just good compliant ride. And that also goes tying into the platform that this is based on. This is based on the TNGA-K architecture, which is shared with the Camry, the RAV4, the Toyota Highlander, as well as the Lexus NX. And inherently, it's not a very sporty-ish platform, but I think they're trying their best of what they could with the platform on this particular new RX F-Sport Performance, and I think it's a really good touch for Lexus buyers wanting something a little bit more sporty out of their RX while retaining that hybrid drivetrain, long-term reliability, and resale value of the RX, as well as I think pretty good looks and a lot of technology and features nowadays. But at this price point, when you are looking at competitors and you're cross-shopping vehicles, some of the German vehicles, for example, are just going to be way above and beyond in terms of driving dynamics and performance than this Lexus RX. But where I think the RX does stand out is really its fuel economy. If that's something you're really focused on, it's going to be, I think, unbeatable in this class with the decent amount of power that it has. I think its closest rival, the Acura MDX Type S, with similar power outputs, this is getting like 8, 9, sometimes 10 even miles per gallon more than that vehicle, while providing around similar power outputs as well. And I actually quite like the just general driving dynamics of this vehicle. It is good, it's not bad, it's just not really fulfilling of that performance name. And we're still in sport mode here. You can kind of feel it, or might hear it's a little bit on the stiffer end going over some of these bumps and undulations in the road surfaces here. Brakes are strong, though I have to say the brake pedal feel itself is not very confidence inspiring. It does feel a little bit squishy, but I do know that these brakes are going to stop me because I have strong stopping power with over 15-inch front brake rotors, which is pretty impressive. We also have F-Sport derived general braking calipers and pistons up there as well, which is pretty nice. Now, like I said before, we do have a manual mode if you do choose to drive your F-Sport performance in manual mode. We go back to that energy flow screen here. We also have an all-wheel drive screen as well. And you can kind of see how this system is distributing its power. So I'm going to pop it into manual mode here. Third gear, we have 6 gears to technically play with here. Whoa. And again, this is not a slow vehicle. I'm not calling this slow at all. It is plenty quick, but pretty impressive for what it is. And I think that electric motor torque from those 2 electric motors in combination with this turbocharged engine is a really good treat to drive around. It's pretty potent, and you feel that power, and the torque is constantly there, getting you up to speed. And even when that battery is low, the engine's going to kick in to kind of charge up the battery to make sure it's always charged, because you have to have that battery charged to even use the rear axle. Now, out here on the highway, though, I think is where the RX starts to come a little bit more alive into its own. When you're on the highway, you're going to be getting that nice cruising speed, and that's where you're going to get some of your best fuel economy out of the RX. Generally, with driving this thing day and day on the basis, I haven't been getting the best fuel economy that I want to see out of a hybrid vehicle. And then I have to remember that this is a performance branded hybrid, and they're kind of wanting to have that power being delivered to you at all times, especially with the turbocharged engine, a 6-speed automatic versus a CVT and a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that you're going to find in the lower end Lexus RX hybrids. So that kind of made me remind myself that, okay, maybe it's not going to get the best MPG, but it's also pretty good for what it is. But on this highway situation here, this new safety systems 3.0 setup from Lexus is absolutely fantastic. That was one of the strongest points that I loved on the Lexus RZ electric vehicle that I tested in September. And let's just take a little bit of a time to spend on that now. So in here you can kind of see a little bit of a breadth of some of the safety systems you have on this vehicle, and it is everything you could possibly imagine except full hands-free driving. Like, it's everything, and it's really, really good systems. So out here on the highway here, let's say you're on a long road trip, you want to turn on your adaptive cruise control. Very simple here. Hopefully this comes across on camera, but you can see in our heads-up display, these haptic buttons do reveal some more functions up there since they're not particularly labeled over here. So I'm going to turn on our adaptive cruise mode right now. We are now on adaptive cruise in the RX, and this is a really great adaptive cruise system as it is steering itself. So Lexus calls this like curve tracing assist, so it's gonna follow the lines with the cameras over there and will steer you around corners. And it also has lane change assist, so as long as you have a hand on the wheel, I could even just touch it for this demonstration here, it does change lanes for you. So I just hold the lane like this, I'm gonna check my surroundings like the camera says, and it does a full lane change for you, which is really nice. And no, I'm not turning the wheel with my fingers, it does actually do this. I'm gonna do it again one more time for you guys. Check my surroundings, just give it a little bit of force so it knows you're still technically holding the wheel, and it changes lanes for you. Gimmick or not, it's a cool feature, and it works pretty well and quick on this RX compared to some other lane change assist functions, which do take their time sometimes to kind of give you that lane change you want. Now out here on the highway, you can see it's really quiet in here. Wind noise is kept to an utmost minimum, I would have to say, on the RX. Really good, just general sound insulation in here as well, so I do like that. I don't really hear any wind buffeting anywhere, or no rattles or anything else interior as well, which is a really great touch as well. And a really cool thing when you have your proactive safety assist feature turned on, so that means it's really kind of constantly monitoring everything around you at all times. Works really well in conjunction with this hybrid system. So let's say you're coming to a stop and it notices there's a vehicle in front of you. I'm just going to speed up just a little bit, try to catch one of these vehicles at a stoplight. You'll notice that it'll actually turn the brake lights on for you. Okay, this person's a little bit bold there. So I'm just coasting right now. It knows there's a vehicle in front of me, and it's now coming to a slow stop for me while regenning. So I think it's kind of noticing that around me to kind of help improve our regen capabilities. Also, it gives you a little bit of an indicator that you're coming to a stop and like, hey, put your foot on the brake pedal so you don't crash into another vehicle. But really cool things that Lexus is kind of developing into this vehicle. And it's great to see them progressing with their technology going forward, especially in this new RX. In traffic with the Lexus RX 500h F-Sport Performance. And I think this is a good time to kind of just come on a concluding end with the vehicle and how it's been going with me over this past week. We can see we have our full kind of traffic assist pilot now on, which really, oh, it is just fantastic because this is a really great system, especially in these traffic conditions here. Thank you guys for joining me on this video of the 2024 Lexus RX 500h F-Sport Performance. And as always, stay tuned for more coming on Allcarnews. Cheers.